The prophecy scroll cracked like brittle bones between her fingers. Golden letters shimmered to life across ancient parchment. Lydia's breath caught. These words shouldn't exist. Words that made her chest ache with impossible hope. This prophecy spoke of things dead women couldn't feel. Love, purpose, the blessing of new life. Moon-blessed elder mother, she whispered. Her voice echoed through the fortress library's deepest vault. Her hands trembled. The cruel irony struck her like a physical blow. Elder mother. At 44, she was elder all right. But mother? Her laugh came out sharp and bitter. She couldn't stop reading. The prophecy painted impossible dreams. The next Alpha King must be born to a moon-blessed elder mother, one whose womb has known sorrow's touch but carries the goddess's favor. Her wisdom shall anchor his power. Her experience shall temper his fury. Warmth bloomed in her chest. Lydia forced herself to remember the truth. 3 failed pregnancies, 7 years of treatments. Her ex-husband's parting words. Face it, Lydia. You're broken goods. Something deep inside her wolf stirred for the first time in years. The sensation made her gasp. She'd thought that part of her had died. Just folklore, she muttered. She carefully rolled the scroll and tucked it into her robes. A desperate need to escape flooded through her before hope could take root and destroy her again. Lydia climbed the stone steps toward moonlight. She didn't notice the way shadows danced differently around her. Her wolf noticed everything. Ancient magic in her bloodline, dormant for decades, was finally beginning to wake.
Blood and duty had ruled his life for 35 years. Tonight would be different. Theron stalked through the fortress corridors with predatory grace. His golden eyes swept the shadows. Enemy scouts had been spotted near their borders. The blood moon ceremony was tomorrow night. He still hadn't found his destined mate. His wolf caught a scent that made everything inside him go still. He identified what he was smelling. His entire world shifted. Ancient magic, power, something else, something that called to every primal instinct he possessed. He found himself standing outside the library. The scent was stronger here. Theron tested the air again. His wolf demanded he follow this pull no matter where it led. Torchlight flickered against stone walls. That intoxicating scent grew stronger. His heightened senses caught a woman's voice from the vault below. Soft, melodic, touched with pain. Something inside his chest cracked open. He descended the steps 3 at a time. The woman turning toward him had startled green eyes. His wolf gave a sound of recognition that shook him to his core. This was no ordinary librarian. He found himself drowning in her presence. Maybe fate brought him here tonight. She clutched something against her chest, ancient parchment that glowed faintly in the torchlight. What did you find? His voice came out rougher than intended.
Theron's voice rumbled through her bones like distant thunder. Every nerve in her body came alive. She understood why ancient texts spoke of mates recognizing each other instantly. Her eyes met his. The world tilted sideways. She clutched the prophecy scroll tighter against her chest. Cold stone pressed against her spine. King Theron Stormclaw. She'd seen him during court functions, but never this close. Never, when his predatory focus was fixed entirely on her. The air between them grew thicker. His scent wrapped around her. Pine forests and dangerous storms and something purely male that made her wolf whimper. Their eyes locked. She forgot how to breathe. I was organizing the ancient bloodline records, she managed. Her voice came out softer than intended. He moved closer. She had time to pull away but didn't. His fingertips brushed the leather binding of a nearby tome. His golden eyes never left hers. These records go back centuries. This conversation was about more than dusty books and bloodlines. Moonlight spilled across his face through the narrow window. She saw the man beneath the crown. Something inside her chest began to crack open. The fortress held its breath around them. Lydia made a decision that would change everything. She stepped forward instead of back. Would you like to see something extraordinary? Look who decided to grace us with her presence. Martin's voice sliced through the great hall. Every head turned. Conversations died. Lydia's name hung in the air like an accusation while her ex-husband's cruel laughter followed. Humiliation burned through her veins. Her bones remembered this feeling, the sick shame of being found wanting. She forced herself to keep walking. The old wounds tingled with familiar pain. Still pretending you belong among real women, Lydia? Martin's pregnant wife giggled beside him. The cruelty hit like a physical blow. Shadows danced between torches as murmurs rippled through the crowd. Her wolf surged dangerously close to the surface. A growl rose in her throat. Her eyes flashed amber in the torchlight. She didn't try to hide it. Someone else's growl echoed from the high table, deeper, more dangerous. The sound sent shivers down her spine. Every person in the hall felt the shift in power. Fear replaced cruel laughter on Martin's face. But Lydia had already fled. She ran through the corridors toward her chambers. Her heart pounded. Behind her, she heard a voice like a death sentence. Martin. Her wolf howled with recognition. Whatever was happening between her and the Alpha King, it had just become very real, very dangerous, and very public. The prophecy scroll burned against her ribs where she'd hidden it. Tomorrow was the blood moon ceremony. Tomorrow, everything would change. The blood moon hung like a crimson eye above the sacred grove. Lydia pressed herself against the ancient oak's bark. She shouldn't be here. The ceremony was for unmated wolves seeking their destiny. She was a 44-year-old archivist who'd given up on dreams years ago. But the prophecy scroll burned against her ribs where she'd hidden it. "Come out, little wolf." Theron's voice drifted through the silver mist. Her heart hammered against her chest. She'd tried to stay away, locked herself in her chambers, told herself the library encounter meant nothing. Her wolf had other plans. The beast inside her had clawed and paced until Lydia couldn't think straight. It demanded she come here, demanded she find him. "I can smell your fear," he called softly, "and your need." Heat flooded her cheeks. She stepped from behind the tree. Moonlight painted everything in shades of blood and shadow. Theron stood in the center of the grove wearing nothing but loose pants that rode low on his hips. Every rational thought fled her mind. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. "Neither should you." His golden eyes found hers across the clearing. "But the moon called you anyway." The crimson light pulsed. Magic thick as honey filled the air. Something ancient stirred in her bloodline, power she'd never felt before. Her wolf pushed forward with desperate hunger. "Lydia." Her name on his lips sounded like a prayer. "Do you feel it?" She felt everything. The pull between them. The prophecy's truth settling into her bones. The goddess's touch awakening parts of herself she'd thought were dead. "The bond," she breathed. He moved toward her with predatory grace. "Say yes." "To what?" "To everything." He stopped just close enough that his heat warmed her skin. "To the claiming, to destiny, to me." Her world tilted. This couldn't be real. Men like him didn't choose women like her. Broken women who'd failed at the most basic female purpose. "I'm not who you think I am," she said desperately. "I'm barren, used up. My own husband threw me away because I couldn't." His growl cut through her words. "Your ex-husband was a fool." The blood moon pulsed brighter. Magic crackled between them like lightning. Her wolf howled with recognition and need. Every instinct screamed at her to submit, to trust, to let this impossible man claim her. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Good." His hand cupped her face with infinite gentleness. "So am I." The moon reached its peak. Power flooded the grove. And Lydia made a choice that would change everything. She kissed him.
Fire exploded through his veins the moment her lips touched his. The mating bond snapped into place with enough force to drive him to his knees. Theron fought to stay standing. Fought to be gentle when every instinct demanded he claim her completely. Her taste flooded his senses. Honey and moonlight, and something purely her that made his wolf roar with possession. The blood moon's power amplified everything. Her scent, her warmth, the way she trembled against him. "Mine," he growled against her mouth. She pulled back, eyes wide with shock. "What's happening to us?" "The claiming." His voice came out rough with need. The bond the prophecy spoke of. Her pupils dilated. The mate bond pulsed between them stronger than anything he'd ever felt. This wasn't just attraction. This was destiny reshaping itself around them. "I don't understand." She touched her lips like they burned. "I'm not special. I'm not..." He silenced her with another kiss, deeper this time, hungrier. Let her feel through their new connection exactly how special she was, how perfect, how desperately he'd been waiting for her without even knowing it. Magic crackled around them. The ancient trees swayed without wind. The blood moon's light painted her skin crimson and silver. Beautiful, ethereal. His, the prophecy, he murmured against her throat. The moon, blessed elder mother, it's you. I can't have children. The words came out broken. I've tried. I've failed. I'm empty inside. You're wrong. He pressed his forehead to hers. Let the bond carry his absolute certainty. I can feel your power awakening. The goddess doesn't make mistakes. Tears spilled down her cheeks. What if you're wrong? What if I disappoint you like I disappointed? Never. His hands framed her face. You could never disappoint me. The blood moon reached its zenith. Power crashed over them in waves. The claiming demanded completion. His wolf demanded completion. But she was fragile, afraid. He wouldn't take what she wasn't ready to give. We don't have to finish this tonight, he said despite every instinct screaming otherwise. The bond is made. You're mine. I'm yours. The rest can wait. Relief and disappointment warred in her expression. You'd do that? For me? I'd do anything for you. The truth of it staggered him. Anything. She kissed him again. Softer this time. Sweeter. Filled with wonder instead of fear. Take me home, she whispered. Home. To his chambers. To his bed. To whatever future the goddess had planned for them. Always, he promised.
Dawn light streamed through the Alpha King's windows as Lydia woke in his arms. Reality crashed over her like ice water. She was naked, in his bed. The most powerful man in the kingdom was sleeping beside her with his face peaceful and younger looking than she'd ever seen it. Her body ached in the most wonderful ways. Heat flooded her cheeks as memories returned. His hands on her skin, his mouth everywhere. The way he'd worshipped her like she was precious instead of broken. The way he'd made her feel beautiful for the first time in years. The mate bond hummed between them, warm and settled. Real. You're thinking too loud. His voice rumbled against her hair. I should go. She started to pull away, but his arms tightened around her. People will talk. They'll say their Alpha King found his mate. His golden eyes opened, immediately alert. Let them talk. Theron. She pressed her palm to his chest. His heartbeat was strong and steady under her touch. I'm not queen material. I don't know how to be what you need. You're everything I need. His hand covered hers. Everything I've been waiting for without knowing it. A commotion in the courtyard below made them both freeze. Hoofbeats. Shouting. The horn that signaled urgent news. Theron was out of bed and pulling on clothes before the echo faded. Stay here. What is it? I don't know. He strapped on his sword. But nothing good arrives at dawn. A knock thundered on the door. My lord! Urgent news from the border. Theron opened the door just wide enough to speak with his captain. Lydia caught fragments. Border attack. Enemy wolves. Demands. What demands? Theron's voice turned deadly quiet. They want the woman, my lord. The archivist. They say she's a threat to the old ways. They want her surrendered. Or they'll consider it an act of war. The blood drained from Lydia's face. They knew. Somehow, they knew about the prophecy, about what she might become. Theron's roar shook the stone walls. Tell them if they want my mate, they can come and take her from my cold, dead hands. The captain paled. My lord, there are 5 packs united against us. If we refuse, we refuse. Theron's voice carried absolute authority. Prepare our defenses. Send word to our allies. And make it clear to anyone who'll listen that Lydia Moonwhisper is under my protection. The door slammed shut. Theron turned to find her already dressing with shaking hands. I have to leave, she said desperately. If I go, they'll have no reason to attack. Your people won't suffer because of me. No, he caught her hands. You're not running. Not from this. Not from me. They'll destroy everything you've built. Let them try. His eyes blazed with protective fury. I didn't wait 35 years for my mate just to hand her over to cowards who fear change. What if they're right? The words tore from her throat. What if I'm not who the prophecy meant? What if I'm just a broken woman who'll bring down a king? Then we'll find out together. He pulled her close. You and me against the world. The mate bond pulsed with his absolute certainty, his unwavering faith. Despite her terror, warmth bloomed in her chest. Together, she whispered. Together, he promised. Outside, war horns began to sound. The council demands to see you. Now. The steward's words hit like physical blows. Lydia clutched her robe tighter as nobles filed into the great hall. Their faces ranged from curious to hostile to openly disgusted. She wasn't ready for this. 3 hours ago, she was a nobody archivist. Now she stood before the most powerful wolves in the kingdom as their potential queen. Lady Moonwhisper. Chancellor Aldrich's voice dripped condescension. How? Convenient that you've managed to ensnare our king on the eve of war. I didn't ensnare anyone. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. The mate bond chose us. Mate bond? Lady Rosalind laughed coldly. You're past childbearing age. What use is a barren queen to our bloodline? The words hit their mark. Lydia's cheeks burned. Every old wound ripped open. These people saw exactly what her ex-husband had seen. Used goods. A failure as a woman. That's enough. Theron's voice cut through the murmurs like a blade. He entered the hall wearing full ceremonial armor. Power radiated from him in waves. Every wolf in the room felt the urge to bare their necks. She is my chosen mate, he said with deadly calm. Anyone who insults her insults me. Chancellor Aldrich straightened. My lord, surely you see the impossibility of this situation. 5 packs demand her surrender. Our allies question your judgment. The kingdom stands on the brink of civil war because of one woman's delusions. My delusions? Lydia found her voice. I never asked for any of this. Then leave, Lady Rosalind snapped. Save us all the trouble. She goes nowhere. Theron's hand fell to his sword hilt. And neither do I. You'd sacrifice everything for her? Aldrich's voice rose. Your kingdom? Your people? Your duty? I'd sacrifice everything to protect what's mine. The certainty in his voice stole Lydia's breath. No one had ever fought for her like this, ever believed in her when she couldn't believe in herself. But the cost was too high. Maybe they're right, she said quietly. Maybe I should. No. Theron moved to her side. Whatever doubts you're having, push them aside. This is bigger than their fear, bigger than their politics. How can you be so sure? Because I feel what you feel through our bond. His hand found hers. The power stirring in your bloodline, the magic responding to your presence. You're not barren, Lydia. You're awakening. Hope and terror warred in her chest. What if he was wrong? What if she was just a woman who'd reached for something beyond her grasp? The enemy forces gather at our borders even as we speak, Aldrich pressed. Surrender her now, and we can negotiate peace. There will be no surrender. Theron's voice echoed off the stone walls. There will be no negotiation. Any pack that threatens my mate threatens me. Then you've doomed us all, Aldrich said coldly. Maybe she had. Maybe this was all a terrible mistake that would cost innocent lives. But as Theron's fingers tightened around hers, as the mate bond pulsed with his unwavering faith, Lydia made a choice. She would stop running from her destiny. If they want war, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the silent hall, then war they'll have. The die was cast. There could be no going back now. The Alpha King's quarters felt like a gilded cage. Lydia stood at the window watching morning light paint the courtyard gold. 5 days since the claiming ceremony. 5 days of whispered conversations that died when she entered a room. 5 days of servants who couldn't meet her eyes. She didn't belong here. You're brooding again. Theron's arms circled her waist from behind. His warmth seeped through her silk gown. Another reminder of how everything had changed. I'm thinking. She leaned back against his chest. There's a difference. Dangerous territory for you. His lips brushed her ear. Your thoughts always lead to guilt. He wasn't wrong. Every luxury in these chambers felt stolen. The fine clothes, the servants, the deference she hadn't earned. She was playing dress-up as a queen while real queens were born to it. Lady Rosalind gave me another etiquette lesson today. Lydia's voice came out flat. I failed spectacularly. What happened? I used the wrong fork for the fish course, curtsied to a duchess when I should have nodded, called the ambassador's wife by her first name. The failures piled up like stones. She said I was hopeless, that I'd embarrass you in front of foreign dignitaries. Theron's growl rumbled through his chest. Rosalind forgets herself. Does she? Lydia turned in his arms. I've spent my life in a library, Theron. I don't know how to be what you need. You know how to be you. His hands framed her face. That's all I've ever wanted. It's not enough. The words tasted bitter. Your people need a queen who can navigate politics, who can charm allies and intimidate enemies. Show me your power, he said softly. Stop hiding from what you're becoming. Fear clenched her stomach. What if nothing happened? What if she tried and failed and proved she was just ordinary Lydia pretending to be something more? Trust me, Theron said. Trust yourself. She closed her eyes, reached deep inside where something new and wild stirred. The sensation was like touching starlight, beautiful and terrifying and completely beyond her understanding. Power flowed through her fingertips. The ancient book on his table began to glow. Letters shimmered gold across the pages like they recognized her touch. Her eyes snapped open. Theron was staring at her with awe and hunger. Beautiful, he breathed. You're not broken, Lydia. You're awakening.
Forget the forks. Theron led her through the moonlit grove behind the fortress. Learn what actually matters. Lydia's hand trembled in his. What if I can't do this? You've already done it. He stopped beside the ancient oak where they'd first kissed. In my chambers. The book responded to you like you were its master. That was just one book. One book is how it starts. He pulled out a leather satchel filled with scrolls. These are bloodline records from the vault. Touch them. She reached out hesitantly. The moment her fingers brushed the first scroll, it blazed with silver light. The second one hummed with power. The third unrolled itself to reveal glowing prophecies. I don't understand, she whispered. Your bloodline isn't just any bloodline. Theron's voice filled with reverence. You're descended from the first moon priestesses, the ones who could speak directly to the goddess. But why now? Why didn't this happen before? Because you needed me to wake it. He pulled her close. The mate bond doesn't just connect our hearts. It connects our magic. My alpha power amplifies your priestess abilities. The scrolls around them pulsed brighter. Ancient words became visible. Prophecies written in languages she'd never learned but somehow understood perfectly. Read them, Theron urged. The moon, blessed Elder Mother, shall birth the King of Kings, she read aloud. His power shall eclipse all who came before, but only if she embraces her true nature, instead of the lies of lesser men. Lesser men like Martin, Theron said grimly. He convinced me I was broken. Wonder filled her voice. But I wasn't broken. I was just waiting. For me. For us. She kissed him softly. For this. Magic swirled around them like visible moonbeams. Power sang in her veins. For the first time since the claiming, she felt like she might actually deserve this life. There's more, Theron said. Your wolf form. You need to learn to shift. I've never fully shifted. The confession embarrassed her. Only partial changes when I was angry, because you were afraid of your own power. His eyes blazed gold. Don't be afraid anymore. He shifted in one fluid motion. Where the man had stood, a massive black wolf watched her with intelligent eyes. Beautiful. Deadly. Hers. Lydia closed her eyes and reached for the wild part of herself she'd always kept caged. Her bones began to lengthen. Her senses sharpened. Silver fur sprouted along her arms. When the change finished, she looked down at elegant paws and felt complete for the first time in her life. Theron's wolf nuzzled against her silver coat. Through their bond she felt his pride and love and absolute faith in who she was becoming. They ran through the forest together under the stars. Equals. Mates. Ready for whatever came next.
Working late again? Lydia spun from the ancient texts she'd been studying. A woman stepped from the library shadows, lean and deadly with eyes like winter ice. Lady Cassandra. Lydia recognized one of the minor court nobles. You startled me. Did I? The woman's smile held no warmth. How careless of me. Something was wrong. Cassandra moved like a predator. Her scent carried notes of foreign pack markers. Enemy wolves. You're not who you pretend to be, Lydia said carefully. Neither are you, Steele whispered as Cassandra drew a hidden blade. But that ends tonight. The assassin struck like lightning. Lydia barely dodged. The blade missed her throat by inches. Nothing personal. Cassandra continued her attack. But you're bad for business. Lydia backed toward the stairs. She had no weapons, no training. This woman would cut her apart. The prophecy dies with you, the assassin said. The old ways survive. The old ways are broken. Lydia found her voice. That's why change is coming. Change? Cassandra laughed. You mean chaos? A barren queen birthing impossible children? The word barren hit like a physical blow. All her old doubts crashed back. What if this killer was right? What if she was just a deluded woman playing at destiny? You feel it too, Cassandra pressed. The doubt. The fear that you're not special. That you're exactly as worthless as they said. No. Lydia's voice grew stronger. I'm done believing those lies. Are you? Steele flashed again. Prove it. The blade came for her heart. Time slowed. In that moment between life and death, Lydia made a choice. She stopped being afraid. Power erupted from her bloodline. Ancient magic that had waited 44 years to be unleashed. Silver light blazed from her skin. The assassin's blade shattered like glass. I am moon-blessed, Lydia said as magic swirled around her. I am the mother of the future Alpha King, and I am done hiding. Cassandra flew backward to slam against stone walls. She crumpled, unconscious but breathing. Footsteps thundered on the stairs. Theron burst into the library with guards behind him. Lydia! He reached for her frantically. Are you hurt? I'm fine. She looked at the defeated assassin. Better than fine. What happened? I found my strength. Wonder filled her voice. The power was always there. I just had to stop being afraid of it. He pulled her close. Relief and pride poured through their bond. She's one of Magnus's spies, Lydia said. The enemy is already inside our walls. Theron's expression darkened. Then war is closer than we thought. Through the window, storm clouds gathered on the horizon. Dark times were coming. But as Lydia stood in her mate's arms, silver magic still dancing around her fingers, she knew she was ready. The prophecy had awakened, and she would not be denied. Morning sickness hit like a sledgehammer to her stomach. Lydia barely made it to the wash basin before her body betrayed her. Again. Third time this week. Her hands shook as she gripped the marble edge and tried to breathe through the nausea. This couldn't be happening. Not now. Not when everything was so uncertain. My lady? Her maid, Elena's voice carried concern. Shall I fetch the healer? No. Lydia's voice came out sharper than intended. Just bring me some ginger tea. Elena nodded and left. Lydia stared at her reflection in the silver mirror. Pale skin, dark circles under her eyes, the face of a woman carrying impossible hope, or impossible life. Her cycle was 3 weeks late. Her breasts ached. Food smells made her queasy. Every symptom she'd memorized during 7 years of failed attempts with Martin. But this felt different, stronger, more real than those crushing disappointments. The prophecy, she whispered to her reflection. Moon-blessed elder mother. Fear and wonder warred in her chest. What if she was wrong? What if stress and wishful thinking were playing cruel tricks? She couldn't survive another false hope. Couldn't watch Theron's face crumble when this turned out to be nothing. My lady, Elena returned with steaming tea. The Alpha King requests your presence in the war room. War room. Right. Because assassins in their own fortress meant the enemy was closer than anyone thought. Lydia dressed carefully. A high-necked gown to hide the new sensitivity of her breasts. Powder to mask her pallor. The mask of a queen who wasn't falling apart. She made it halfway to the war room before another wave of nausea dropped her to her knees. Lydia! Theron's voice echoed off stone walls. Strong arms lifted her before she could protest. His scent, pine and storms and home, made her stomach settle slightly. What's wrong? Golden eyes searched her face. You look tired. She forced a smile. The stress of everything. I'm fine. His nostrils flared, enhanced senses picking up changes she couldn't hide. His expression shifted from concern to wonder to fierce protectiveness. How long? His voice came out rough with emotion. I don't know for sure. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Maybe 3 weeks? I'm scared to hope. What if... He silenced her with a kiss that tasted like joy and desperation. No, what ifs, he murmured against her lips. This is real. You're carrying our son. How can you be so certain? Because I can sense him through our bond. His hand pressed gently to her still flat stomach. Strong, powerful, already touched by the moon goddess. Wonder bloomed in her chest, but terror followed close behind. Theron, if the enemy finds out... She gripped his armor. A pregnant queen is an even bigger target. What if they won't touch you? His voice carried deadly promise. I won't let them. You can't be with me every moment. And now I'm not just risking my own life. I'm risking his. Then we end this war quickly. He helped her to her feet. Before he's born. Before they can threaten our son. Their son. The future Alpha King. Growing inside her body like a secret made of starlight. The war room, she said shakily. You needed me there? Magnus sent another message. Theron's expression darkened. Surrender demands, threats, and something else. What? He knows about the prophecy scroll. He knows what you found in the vault. His jaw tightened. We have another spy. Lydia's blood chilled. Bad enough that enemies lurked in their fortress. Worse, that they knew about the pregnancy's divine significance. Then we'd better end this quickly, she said. We will. He took her hand. Together. But as they walked toward the war room, Lydia couldn't shake the feeling that the worst was yet to come.
Surrender the false queen, and your people live. Magnus Darkthorn's voice carried across the courtyard like poison. The massive Alpha stood beyond arrow range with 500 warriors at his back. More than Theron had expected. More than their scouts had reported. Counter. Offer. Theron called back. Leave now, and I might let you die quickly. Magnus laughed. Still protecting the barren archivist? How touching. Theron's hands clenched on the battlements. Beside him, Lydia stood pale but steady. The pregnancy scent clung to her like incense. Their enemies couldn't detect it yet, but that would change soon. She's carrying the prophesied heir, Magnus continued. Did you know that, Alpha King? The child that will either unite the packs or destroy them all. Shock rippled through Theron's defenders. His own council members exchanged startled looks. Chancellor Aldrich stepped forward with betrayal written across his face. You knew, Aldrich accused. You've known she was pregnant and said nothing. The timing wasn't, Theron began. The timing was perfect for your enemies. Aldrich's voice rose. They know everything while your own council knows nothing. Because there's a spy among us, Lydia said quietly. The words dropped like stones into still water. Every face on the battlements showed guilt or suspicion or fear. Impossible, Lady Rosalind sputtered. We've served this house for generations. Someone told Magnus about the prophecy scroll, Lydia continued. Someone told him I was in the library that night. Someone arranged for Cassandra to have access to the fortress. It could be anyone, Chancellor Aldrich said. A servant, a guard, even a council member. Theron's voice cut like a blade. Silence stretched. Below, Magnus waited with predatory patience. This changes everything, Aldrich said finally. A pregnant queen in wartime? The risks are mine to take. Lydia stepped forward. This child is the future Alpha King, the one the prophecy promised. I won't hide from my destiny. Your destiny? Aldrich's laugh held bitter edges. Your destiny is to birth a child so powerful he destroys the natural order. Some of us prefer stability. Understanding crashed over Theron like ice water. You? Aldrich's mask slipped. Guilt and defiance warred in his expression. 20 years I've served this house, the Chancellor said. 20 years of keeping the packs in balance. You would throw it all away for one woman's dreams. Dreams? Power blazed from Lydia's skin, ancient magic that made the air itself tremble. This is no dream. No. Aldrich backed away from her glowing form. It's a nightmare, and I won't let you birth the end of everything we've built. He moved toward the stairs, toward escape, toward Magnus and his army. Stop him, Theron commanded. His guards hesitated. Aldrich had been their leader for decades, the man who'd guided them through political storms and diplomatic crises. He's a traitor, Lydia said. He's been feeding information to Magnus for months. Prove it, Lady Rosalind demanded. The assassination attempt, Lydia said. Cassandra knew exactly where to find me, exactly when I'd be alone. Only the council knew my schedule. That's circumstantial, Aldrich said desperately. You can't. I can smell his guilt, Theron growled. Taste his betrayal on the wind. Because I oppose your madness? Aldrich's voice rose. Because I put the kingdom before your obsession with a barren woman? She's not barren. The words came out like thunder. She's carrying my heir, the prophesied king. Then may the goddess help us all. Aldrich reached the stairs. Because that child will be the death of everything we hold dear. He ran. Theron's guards moved to follow, but Magnus chose that moment to attack. War horns blared, arrows darkened the sky. The siege began in earnest, and somewhere in the chaos of battle, their greatest enemy escaped to rejoin the forces arrayed against them. The spy is gone, Lydia said grimly. But now, we know who we're really fighting. Not just Magnus, Theron agreed, but our own people who fear change more than they love truth. Below them, the war for their son's future had truly begun.
You can't seriously be considering his terms. Lydia stared at the ransom note in disbelief. Magnus wanted her, just her, in exchange for withdrawing his army and ending the siege. It's a trap, Theron said flatly. He wants you close enough to kill. Maybe. She studied the parchment again. Or maybe he's afraid. The prophecy speaks of the child's power, not mine. If he kills me now, the child dies with you. Understanding dawned in Theron's eyes. But if you're captured alive, kept prisoner until birth, he could take the baby, raise him as his own, control the future Alpha King. Horror filled her voice. That's his real plan. Then we give him nothing. Theron's jaw tightened. We break this siege and crush his army. With what? Lydia gestured toward the window where enemy campfires stretched to the horizon. He has thousands. We have hundreds. And now we know Aldrich has been feeding him our defensive plans for months. Then we change the plans. There's no time. She pressed her hand to her stomach where new life flickered like a candle flame. Every day we wait, the baby grows stronger. His power will become detectable soon. When that happens, Magnus will know exactly what he's trying to steal. Theron's fists clenched. A weapon disguised as a child. Not a weapon. Tears burned her eyes. Our son, our future. Who will be the most powerful alpha in history? The weight of that truth settled between them. The prophecy was very clear about his abilities. Maybe too powerful, Lydia whispered. What if Aldrich was right? What if birthing him really will destroy everything? Hey, Theron cupped her face. Don't let their fear poison your heart. This child is a gift, not a curse. How can you be so sure? Because he's ours. His thumbs brushed away her tears. Made from love, blessed by the moon goddess. Whatever power he carries, we'll teach him to use it wisely. If we survive long enough. A commotion in the courtyard drew their attention. Messengers on exhausted horses, bearing banners from allied packs. Reinforcements? Hope bloomed in Lydia's chest. Theron's enhanced vision read the approaching riders' faces. His expression darkened. No. His voice came out flat. More demands for your surrender. Our allies, too? Magnus has been busy, spreading fear about the prophecy, convincing other alphas that our son will threaten their power. End quote. Theron's hands fell away from her face. We're alone. The reality hit like a physical blow. No allies, no reinforcements, no way to win against impossible odds. Then maybe I should consider his offer, Lydia said quietly. Absolutely not. Think about it logically. She forced steel into her voice. If I surrender myself, your people live. The fortress survives. You can regroup, gather true allies, and rescue me later. There won't be a later. His eyes blazed with desperate fury. If you walk out those gates, I'll never see you again. You don't know that. I know, Magnus. Theron's voice dropped to a whisper. He'll keep you alive until the birth. Then he'll kill you and raise our son as his weapon. But our son would live. As a monster, trained from birth to conquer and destroy. Theron gripped her shoulders. That's not life. That's a living nightmare. She knew he was right, but the alternative was watching everyone she cared about die defending her impossible dreams. There has to be another way, she said desperately. There is. His expression shifted, became calculating, dangerous. But you're not going to like it. Tell me. We run. Tonight, while they sleep. Take a small group and escape through the old mining tunnels. Run? The word tasted like ash. Abandon your kingdom? Your people? To save our son. His hand covered hers on her stomach. To give him a chance to grow up free. And Magnus takes the fortress. Slaughters anyone who helped us. Hunts us across the continent. She shook her head. We'd never be safe. Better to live as fugitives than die as martyrs. The terrible choice hung between them. Fight and likely lose everything. Run and definitely lose everything, except each other. There's a third option, Lydia said slowly. What? I embrace the prophecy completely. Stop holding back my power. Become what the moon goddess intended. And if it kills you, then at least I die fighting for our son's future, instead of running from it. Theron studied her face, saw the determination there, the fierce maternal protectiveness that had awakened with her pregnancy. Together? He asked. Together, she promised. Outside, war horns sounded the evening watch. Tomorrow would bring the final assault. Win or lose, their son's fate would be decided. They had one night to prepare for a battle that would echo through history. The ancient bloodline texts hold more than prophecies. Lydia spread dusty tomes across the war room table. Her stomach churned, morning sickness mixed with desperation. They had hours before Magnus's final assault. These describe combat magic, she continued. Spells used by the first moon priestesses in battle. Theron leaned over her shoulder. Can you master them in time? I have to. Her finger traced glowing symbols. This one amplifies alpha power through the mate bond. This one creates protective barriers. And this. Her voice trailed off. The final spell made her blood run cold. What is it? A summoning ritual. She looked up at him with wide eyes. To call every wolf within 50 miles to our aid. That's impossible. Wolves follow only their own alphas. Not if the call comes from the prophesied heir. She pressed her hand to her stomach. The unborn Alpha King's power could override pack loyalties. At what cost? Theron's voice sharpened. These old magics always demand a price. The caster's life force. The words came out barely above a whisper. It might kill me. Absolutely not. It's our only chance. Find another way. There is no other way. Her power flared. Books around them blazed with silver light. Magnus has thousands. We have hundreds. Without reinforcements, everyone dies. Including you and our son. Maybe. Maybe not. She stood straighter. The prophecy says the moon-blessed elder mother will birth the future king. It doesn't say she'll die doing it. Prophecies lie. Not this one. Her hand glowed as it touched the ancient text. I can feel its truth. Theron studied her face, saw the determination burning there like a flame. If you do this, he said finally, I do it with you. The bond works both ways. My strength can anchor yours. And if we both die, then we die fighting for our son's future. His hands covered hers on the spellbook. Together, a horn blast echoed from the walls. The final warning. Magnus was moving. Now or never, Lydia whispered. They began to chant in the old tongue.
Power flowed between them like molten silver. Theron anchored Lydia's magic as the summoning spell reached across the kingdom. Through their bond, he felt distant wolves stirring, responding. beginning to turn toward their fortress. "It's working," he breathed. "They're coming." Lydia's face was pale but determined. Magic blazed from her skin as their unborn son's power amplified the ancient ritual. The future Alpha King was calling his subjects home. 5 minutes, she gasped. 5 more minutes and we'll have an army. The chamber doors exploded inward. "I won't let you destroy everything." Aldrich's voice cracked like a whip. The traitor stood framed in smoke and rubble with Magnus's elite guard behind him. Swords gleamed in the magical light. Death had found them at their most vulnerable moment. "The ritual!" Theron roared. "Don't break the circle." But it was too late. Hostile magic crashed over them like ice water. The connection to the distant wolves shattered. Across the kingdom, reinforcements stopped mid-stride and turned back to their original packs. "No!" Lydia's scream echoed off stone walls. Theron moved to protect her. His sword met Aldrich's in a shower of sparks. Around them, elite warriors closed in like wolves circling prey. "You've doomed us all," he snarled at his former chancellor. "I've saved us from madness." Aldrich's blade flashed. "That child will be the end of everything." Steel rang against steel. But Theron was fighting 5 men while protecting a pregnant woman in a broken ritual circle. Even an Alpha King had limits. Blood ran down his arm, his leg. Too many wounds from too many directions. "Theron," Lydia reached for him. "Don't break position." But even as he said it, he knew it was over. A blade found his ribs, another his shoulder. He dropped to one knee as agony flared through his body. From the shadows stepped Magnus Darkthorn himself. "Hello, old friend," the enemy Alpha said to Aldrich. "Right on schedule."
No. The word tore from her throat. Magnus advanced while Theron bled at her feet. Her mate's golden eyes blazed with fury and pain. He tried to rise. Failed. "The great Alpha King," Magnus mocked, "brought low by trust and sentiment." "You bastard." Theron's voice came out harsh. "If you hurt her..." "Hurt her?" Magnus laughed. "She's far too valuable for that. The moon-blessed elder mother, carrier of the prophesied heir." Lydia backed toward the far wall. Power flickered weakly around her hands. The broken ritual had drained her reserves. "Stay back," she warned. "Or what?" Magnus pulled out a carved bone rune. Dark magic pulsed from its surface. "You'll summon your army?" "Oh, wait, that spell failed." The rune flared. Binding magic crashed over her like chains made of shadow. Her power sputtered and died. "Ancient wolf magic," Magnus explained. "Specifically designed to contain moon priestesses. My ancestors were very thorough." She couldn't move, couldn't access her abilities, couldn't protect herself or her unborn son. "Lydia!" Theron struggled to reach her. "Fight it!" "She can't." Magnus approached like a predator savoring his kill. The rune binds not just her magic, but her will to resist. Horror filled her as she felt the compulsion taking hold. Her feet moved against her wishes, step by step toward her greatest enemy. "Perfect," Magnus smiled. The prophecy spoke of the elder mother birthing the future king. It didn't say she had to raise him. "You're going to kill her after the birth," Theron said flatly. "Kill her? Heavens no." Magnus's smile turned vicious. "I'm going to keep her. A pet. A broken thing to remind the boy that even legends can be conquered. I'll kill you for this." Theron's voice dropped to a whisper. "I'll tear you apart." "You'll try." Magnus gestured to his warriors. "Bring them both. The fortress is ours." As they dragged her from the chamber, Lydia caught one last glimpse of their ritual circle. Broken, smoking, all hope extinguished. The prophecy had failed. Their son would be born into slavery, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. The dungeon cell smelled of despair and old blood. Lydia sat chained to the stone wall, the binding rune burning against her throat like a brand. 3 days since Magnus captured her. 3 days of helplessness while her magic remained locked away. Her hand rested on her stomach where their son grew stronger each day. Soon his power would be detectable to anyone with supernatural senses. Soon Magnus would know exactly what he'd stolen. Comfortable? Magnus descended the narrow stairs with predatory grace. "Where's Theron?" Her voice came out hoarse. "Alive," Barely. His smile held cruel edges. My healers are keeping him breathing. For now. Relief and terror warred in her chest. What do you want? To educate you about reality. He pulled up a wooden chair. The prophecy you cling to? It's not what you think. You're lying. Am I? He produced an ancient scroll, different from the one she'd found. Older. This is the complete prophecy. The part your precious archives conveniently left out. Fear clenched her stomach. Show me. The moon-blessed elder mother shall birth the King of Kings, he read aloud, but only through great sacrifice. Her life essence shall feed his power. Her death shall fuel his destiny. The words hit like physical blows. No. Oh, yes. Magnus leaned forward. The prophecy requires your death, little priestess. The child gains his supernatural abilities by consuming your life force during birth. That's not true. But doubt crept into her voice. Why do you think no other elder mother appears in our histories? Why do you think the moon goddess waited until now? His golden eyes blazed with satisfaction. Because the magic demands a specific sacrifice. You, the mate bond, will die with you, leaving Theron broken while I raise your son as my weapon. Magnus stood. At least this way serves a purpose. Quote, You're wrong. She forced strength into her voice. The goddess doesn't demand death, doesn't she? He gestured to the rune at her throat. You're already dying, bit by bit. The binding magic feeds on your life force. Soon there won't be enough left to sustain both you and the child. Horror bloomed in her chest. The weakness, the constant fatigue. She'd thought it was normal pregnancy symptoms, but how long? A few weeks? Maybe less. He shrugged. Don't worry. I'll ensure the birth happens before you're completely drained. Monster. Realist. His voice hardened. The child will be born. He will be powerful. And he will serve me instead of destroying the natural order. Theron will stop you. Theron is dying in his own cell. Poisoned wounds that my healers keep just infected enough to maintain compliance. Magnus moved toward the stairs. Face it, Lydia. You've lost everything. Alone again, she pressed both hands to her stomach. Their son kicked strongly, blissfully unaware of the doom surrounding him. I'm sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry I failed you. But even as despair threatened to drown her, something deep inside refused to surrender. The prophecy might demand sacrifice, but it didn't specify which kind.
Your mate is dying. The words cut through Theron's fever dreams like a blade. He opened swollen eyes to find Aldrich standing outside his cell with guilt written across his face. Liar. His voice came out barely above a whisper. The binding rune is draining her life force. Aldrich's hands shook. Magnus didn't tell me that part of the plan. Having second thoughts? Theron struggled to sit up. Infection burned through his veins like liquid fire. She's innocent. The former chancellor's voice cracked. Whatever I believe about the prophecy, she doesn't deserve this. Help me escape. I can't. Magnus has guards everywhere, and even if you reached her, Aldrich gestured to Theron's wounds. You can barely stand. Then heal me. I'm not a healer. You're a politician. You know everyone. Theron leaned forward despite the agony. There has to be someone in this fortress who opposes Magnus. Even if there is, why would they help you now? You're defeated. Your mate is doomed. Your unborn child will be Magnus's weapon. Because some things are worth fighting for even when hope is gone. Aldrich stared at him for a long moment. You really believe that? I have to. Theron's hand pressed to his chest where the mate bond flickered weakly. She's everything. Magnus was right about one thing. Aldrich's voice dropped to a whisper. The prophecy does demand sacrifice. Then I'll be the one who pays it. How? By trading my life for theirs. Theron met his former friend's eyes. Get me to Lydia. Let me break that binding rune. I don't care what it costs. It will kill you. The rune's magic will backlash through the mate bond. Good. His voice carried absolute certainty. Better I die protecting them than live knowing I failed. Aldrich studied his face, saw the unflinching resolve there. There's a kitchen maid, he said finally. Sarah. Her brother was one of your guards. Magnus executed him for refusing to switch sides. Will she help? If it means revenge against Magnus? Probably. Aldrich pulled out a key. But this is suicide. No. Theron struggled to his feet. This is love. The cell door opened with a soft click. Somewhere above them, Lydia was dying by degrees, but death would have to wait. He had a mate to save and a son to protect, even if it destroyed him in the process.
Accept it gracefully. Magnus's words echoed in the darkness as Lydia felt her strength ebb away. The binding rune pulsed against her throat like a parasite feeding on her life force. Her unborn son kicked frantically. Even in the womb, he sensed her distress, sensed the danger surrounding them both. I know, little one, she whispered. Mama's trying to fight, but I don't know how. The prophecy scroll lay on the floor where Magnus had dropped it. The complete version. The one that spoke of sacrifice and death and futures built on a mother's bones. Maybe he's right, she said to the empty cell. Maybe this was always how it was supposed to end. But even as the words left her lips, something rebelled inside her. The same fierce protectiveness that had awakened with her pregnancy. The same maternal fury that had faced down assassins and enemy armies. She was the moon-blessed elder mother, chosen by the goddess herself. That had to mean something beyond just breeding stock for a prophecy. What if sacrifice doesn't mean death? She murmured. Her magic might be bound, but her mind was still free. And her mind had spent decades studying ancient texts, looking for hidden meanings, finding truth in symbols and metaphors. What if the prophecy was speaking symbolically? What if the death it required was the death of her old self, the frightened, barren woman who believed she was broken? What if the life essence that fed her son's power wasn't her literal life, but her awakened abilities, her acceptance of her true nature? Sacrifice, she repeated. Then, transformation. The rune burned hotter against her throat, as if sensing her defiance. But for the first time in days, hope stirred in her chest. She closed her eyes and reached deep inside herself, past the binding magic, past the fear and despair, to the place where the moon goddess had first touched her soul. The rune might block her access to power, but it couldn't touch her connection to destiny itself. I am moon-blessed, she said firmly. I am the mother of the future Alpha King, and I refuse to die in this cell. Power stirred, faint but real, a tiny star of light in the darkness. The binding rune pulsed, trying to snuff it out, but couldn't quite manage it. She wasn't free. The chains were still real. The rune still burned against her throat like acid. But she was no longer a victim. Somewhere in the fortress, she felt a flicker through their dying bond. Theron, wounded but determined, coming for her despite impossible odds. Hold on, she whispered, her hand on her stomach. Mama's not going to die, and Mama's not waiting to be rescued. She began to focus, nurturing that tiny flame of power, preparing for the moment her chance would come. She was still a prisoner, still in chains, but in her mind, Lydia Moonwhisper was finally, truly, free. The real battle was about to begin.
She's down there. Sarah pointed to the dungeon entrance with shaking hands. But there are guards. At least 6. Theron leaned against the stone wall, fighting waves of pain from his infected wounds. Beside him, Aldrich checked his stolen weapons with grim determination. Can you fight? Aldrich asked, quietly. I can die fighting. Theron's voice came out rough. That's all that matters. Through their weakened bond, he felt Lydia's presence like a distant star. Alive, defiant, waiting for him. The binding rune, Sarah whispered. Magnus bragged about it, said it would kill her slowly while keeping the baby alive. How long does she have? Hours, maybe less. The kitchen maid's eyes filled with tears. I'm sorry, I should have helped sooner. You're helping now. Theron pushed away from the wall. That's enough. They moved through the fortress like ghosts. Sarah led them down servant passages Magnus's forces hadn't bothered to secure. Stupid, but useful. There. She pointed around a corner. The door to the dungeons. 6 guards, armed and alert. Too many for a wounded alpha and a guilt-ridden politician. I'll distract them, Aldrich said. You get to her. They'll kill you. Good. Aldrich's smile held bitter edges. I have a lot to atone for. Before Theron could protest, the former chancellor stepped into the corridor. Guards, Aldrich called out. The Alpha King has escaped. He's heading for the main gate. Confusion. Shouting. 4 of the 6 guards ran toward the supposed escape route. Now, Sarah hissed. Theron moved like lightning despite his injuries. His blade found the first remaining guard's throat. His claws tore out the second's heart. The dungeon door stood open before him. Below, in the deepest cell, he felt Lydia waiting. Still chained, still trapped by dark magic, but no longer broken. I'm coming, he whispered through their bond. Her response flooded him with warmth and determination. I'm ready.
Theron. His name left her lips like a prayer. He stood in the cell doorway, blood on his armor and love in his eyes. Behind him lay the bodies of guards who died trying to keep them apart. Are you hurt? His hands ran over her frantically. The rune. She touched her throat where the binding magic pulsed like a parasitic heartbeat. It's killing me slowly. Then we break it. His fingers traced the carved bone. How? Together. She pressed her forehead to his. Your alpha power, my priestess magic, the mate bond amplifying both. What's the cost? Maybe everything. She met his eyes steadily. The backlash could destroy us both. Better than living without you. Or our son. Her hand covered his on her stomach. He needs both his parents. Then we survive. Theron's voice carried absolute certainty. All 3 of us. Power began to build between them. His golden dominance meeting her silver light. The mate bond sang with harmonic resonance. The binding rune fought back. Dark magic designed to contain moon priestesses writhed against their combined assault. Ancient spells clashed in the small cell. It's not enough, Lydia gasped. The magic is too old, too strong. Then we go deeper. Theron's hands glowed with pure alpha force. Everything I am, everything you are, our son's future power. That could kill the baby, or set him free. His eyes blazed. Trust the prophecy, trust the goddess, trust us. She nodded. They reached deeper into their bond, past love, past desire, to the place where souls touched and destinies intertwined. Their unborn son's power joined the battle, future Alpha King magic flowing backward through time. The prophecy made manifest through 3 hearts beating as one. The binding rune screamed and shattered into dust. Magic exploded through the cell. Ancient power no longer contained. Lydia's true abilities blazed to life like a newborn star. I can feel everything, she breathed. Every wolf in the kingdom, every pack, every bloodline. Then call them. Theron helped her stand. Call them home. She reached out with powers finally unleashed. The summoning spell from before, but stronger now, backed by her true nature instead of desperate hope. Across the realm, wolves turned toward their fortress. Not compelled. Invited. Drawn by the promise of a better future under a united crown. They're coming, she said with wonder. All of them. Then let's go meet our destiny.
You should have stayed in your cell. Magnus waited in the great hall with the last of his loyal forces. Maybe 30 warriors, desperate men who'd chosen the wrong side, and now faced annihilation. You should have honored the mate bond, Theron replied. Beside him, Lydia blazed with unleashed power. No longer the frightened archivist, no longer the uncertain queen. She was the moon priestess awakened, the mother of legends. It's over, Magnus, she said calmly. Your army has abandoned you. Your allies have switched sides. Surrender now, and live. Live as what? Magnus snarled. A broken alpha serving an unnatural child. Live as a wolf who chose wisdom over pride. Never. Magnus shifted. His human form dissolved into something massive and dark. A wolf the size of a warhorse, with eyes like burning coals. Around him, his remaining followers followed suit. 30 wolves against 2 humans and an unborn child. Stay behind me, Theron commanded. No. Lydia stepped forward. We face this together. You're pregnant. I'm moon-blessed. Power crackled around her like visible starlight. And our son is ready to meet his subjects. She reached out with her priestess abilities, not to compel, not to control, simply to offer truth. This is your future, Alpha King, her magic whispered to the enemy wolves. Strong, powerful, born to unite what has been divided. 10 of Magnus's followers stopped mid-charge, ancient instincts recognizing the call of their rightful ruler. Don't listen to her, Magnus roared. She's corrupting your minds. I'm offering them choice, Lydia corrected. Something you never did. The power of the unborn heir pulsed through the hall. Future alpha dominance that made every wolf present feel the urge to bare their necks in submission. Even Magnus faltered. Impossible, he breathed. The child isn't even born yet. The prophecy doesn't wait for convenience, Theron said. Yield, old friend. This battle is already over. Through the great doors came the sound of howling, hundreds of voices joining in harmony, the wolves of the realm arriving to witness their future king's first victory. Magnus looked around the hall, at his followers, kneeling in submission, at the power blazing from Lydia's skin, at the certainty in Theron's eyes. This isn't how it ends, he whispered. No, Lydia agreed. This is how it begins. The future Alpha King kicked once inside her womb. Strong, healthy, ready to inherit a kingdom finally united under one crown. The final battle was about to begin.
You want to see power? Magnus's voice cracked with desperation. I'll show you power. Dark magic erupted from his wolf form, ancient blood rituals that turned his remaining followers into something monstrous. Their eyes went black, their forms twisted. Whatever humanity they'd possessed died screaming. Magnus, no! Theron's horror echoed through the hall. You're killing them. I'm saving them from slavery. Magnus's corrupted wolves charged like demons made flesh. Lydia stepped forward. Power blazed from her skin as she shielded the kneeling wolves who'd surrendered. Her magic met the dark assault head-on. Ancient priestess abilities crashed against corrupted alpha dominance. The very air sparked with conflicting energies. Stone cracked under the pressure. You can't win, Magnus snarled. I have nothing left to lose. That's why you've already lost. Lydia's voice rang with absolute certainty. You fight for destruction. We fight for creation. Her unborn son's power surged through their bond, future Alpha King magic flowing through his mother's bloodline, the prophecy made manifest in silver light and protective fury. No child commands me! Magnus lunged directly at her. Theron intercepted him mid-leap. Alpha met Alpha in a collision that shook the fortress foundations. Claws met claws, fangs sought throats, but Magnus was desperate. Theron was wounded. The fight turned brutal. Theron! Lydia's scream echoed as blood sprayed across stone. Her mate fell. Magnus stood over him with triumph blazing in corrupted eyes. Your king is dead. Your prophecy failed. Surrender the child. Never. Power exploded from Lydia's core. Not gentle priestess magic now, but the fury of a mother protecting her young. The blast sent Magnus flying. When he hit the wall, something fundamental broke inside him. How? He gasped. Because I'm not just moon-blessed. She knelt beside Theron, her healing light already working on his wounds. I'm the mother of the future Alpha King, and mothers don't surrender. Magnus tried to rise, failed. His corrupted magic was eating him from within. The old ways, he whispered, are ending gracefully, Lydia finished, as they should have long ago. Her healing magic saved Theron's life. Her son kicked strongly in her womb, and around them, a united kingdom knelt in recognition of their future queen. The prophecy was finally complete.
It's over. Theron's voice carried across the battlefield, where submission had replaced slaughter. Magnus lay broken but breathing in the corner. His corrupted followers had returned to normal with his dark magic shattered. Most knelt in surrender. The rest had fled into the forests. What do we do with him? Captain Morris gestured to their defeated enemy. Theron looked to Lydia. This was her choice, as much as his. Exile, she said softly. Let him live with his failures. Let the realm see that the New Age values mercy over vengeance. That's not justice, Morris protested. It's evolution. Her hand rested on her stomach. Our son will inherit a kingdom that chooses wisdom over wrath. Theron helped her to her feet. And if Magnus returns, if he gathers new allies, then we'll face him again. Power still danced around her fingers. But I don't think he will. Some defeats break more than bones. Magnus stirred as they approached. His golden eyes had lost their fire, replaced by something hollow and beaten. Why? He asked. Because you're not evil, Lydia said. Just afraid. And fear shouldn't be answered with more fear. The child will destroy everything. The child will build everything. She knelt beside him despite Theron's protective growl. Better, stronger, more united than what came before. Her healing magic flowed into Magnus's wounds, not enough to fully restore him, but enough to ensure he'd survive exile. Go, she said gently. Find peace in the wild places. Learn to let go of the past. Magnus struggled to his feet, looked around the hall at wolves who'd once followed him, now kneeling to his enemies. This isn't finished, he said, but without conviction. Yes, Lydia replied. It is. He limped toward the doors, paused at the threshold. Your son better be worth it. He will be. Her voice carried absolute certainty. Because he'll be raised with love instead of fear. Magnus vanished into the night. Behind him, a new age began.
6 months later, Lydia held her son for the first time. He's perfect, Theron breathed. His massive finger traced the baby's tiny fist. Prince Aiden Stormclaw opened golden eyes that already held ancient wisdom. Power radiated from his small form, controlled, purposeful, exactly as strong as he needed to be. The prophecy was right about everything, Lydia marveled, including the timing. The birth had been surprisingly easy. Her body strengthened by moon magic, the child's supernatural abilities helping rather than hindering the process. What are his gifts? Elena asked from the doorway. All of them. Theron's voice held awe. Alpha dominance, priestess, magic. Something entirely new. As if responding to his father's voice, Aiden shifted. For a moment, silver light danced around his fingers, then golden power, then something else entirely. A blend that had never existed before. He'll unite more than just the wolf packs, Lydia realized. All supernatural bloodlines, every magical gift. A king of kings, Theron murmured, just as the prophecy promised. Through the window, they could see the courtyard where representatives from dozens of packs waited to pledge loyalty. The exile of Magnus had ended the old divisions. Aiden's birth sealed the new unity. No more wars, Lydia said softly. No more division. No more fear of change. Theron kissed her forehead. Our son will inherit a kingdom ready for evolution. Aiden made a soft sound. Almost like he understood. Almost like he approved. Sleep, little king, Lydia whispered. Your realm is finally at peace. Outside, wolves howled in harmony. Inside, a family held each other close. The moon-blessed elder mother had fulfilled her destiny. The future Alpha King slept safely in her arms, and the prophecy that had seemed impossible became simply true. At 44, she'd thought her baby days were over. Instead, she'd birthed the dawn of a new age. 5 years later, Lydia watched Prince Aiden play in the same library where she'd once hidden from hope. He moved books with his mind and spoke to wolves in their own language. Power beyond imagining, controlled by a child's innocent heart. Mama, he said, looking up with eyes wise beyond his years. Tell me the story again. Which story, little king? About how you saved me before I was even born. She smiled and pulled him close. Once upon a time, there was a woman who thought she was broken. And in the telling, she remembered that the greatest magic of all was learning to believe in herself. The prophecy was complete. The future was secured. And love had conquered everything that stood in its way.